I'd like to call the January 26th meeting of the City of Post Falls Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and get things started with roll call.
Robinson?
Here.
Carey?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Schlauhauer?
Here.
Hampi?
Here.
All right, ceremonies, announcements, appointments, and or presentations. Do we have anything this evening?
No, but I was going to state that today is National Peanut Brittle Day.
National
Bring us
Peanut
some?
Brittle Day.
I don't have any, but yeah,
That's
Yeah.
disappointing.
interesting fact.
I think
That's all
that
I have,
Disappointing.
I think that there's some national days coming up that are going to be fantastic. So go home and have some peanut brittle. Amendments to the agenda this evening.
None.
Okay. Commissioners, declaration of conflict, ex parte contact, site visits, anything to declare?
No.
No.
Okay, seeing none, we will move on and go with the consent calendar.
Yeah, it's item A from the January 11th, 2012 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Oh, the minutes. Sorry, I'm lost. There's no amendments to the agenda.
Okay.
You were right. You just needed to say the minutes from the January. You got it.
We were just going through the
Oh, sorry, I was just reading what it states.
So we've had the minutes from the January 11th meeting. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look over. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Hampi?
Abstain.
Schlauhauer?
Abstain.
Davis?
Yes.
Carey?
Yes.
Stephenson?
Yes.
All right. Citizen issues. This section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the commission on an issue that is not on the agenda this evening. I'd also recommend that comments on issues for planned future meetings be held for those meetings. Do we have anyone here with citizen issues? Seeing none, that will bring us into unfinished and old business. I believe we have none.
None.
So we will go right into the main portion of this evening, and that is our public hearings. We'll go ahead and open up first public hearing, the Elm Place Subdivision. Ethan, take it away.
Evening, Commissioners. Ethan Porter, one of the planners here at the city, here to present the Elm Place subdivision. The owner of this proposal is Robert Wilhelm, and the applicant who's here tonight is Dobler Engineering. They're requesting that the subdivision that was proposed to be approved, it is 1.11 acres, and they want 12 lots conforming to the R2 twin home standards. Looking here at the hatched red area is the project location, just north of 90, right along Elm Street on the east side at a dead end there. The current land use is just a single-family home within the city. There's East Green Acres Irrigation District for the water provider in that area, and the sewer would be provided by the city of Post Falls. Here, the zoning map, you can see the colors are a little bit hard to see on the projector screen, but the hatched black is R2, which is kind of more of a little brown color, and then the orange to the west is R3 that you see. Everything else is the R1 single-family zoning in the yellow. Here's what is proposed that the applicant and the owners submitted for their proposal. All the lot size and lot widths do meet the R2 standards for twin homes, and they do provide the parking area, as you can see in the southwest corner. So it does come at the dead end there in Hammerhead out into Elm Street. Looking at the review criteria for subdivisions, we look at the first one being water, making sure there's adequate capacity. And as mentioned previously, water will be provided by East Green Acres Irrigation District. Looking at review criteria 3, the sewer would be the review criteria, making sure that the city has adequate capacity for their system, which they do, and upon development, they would need to meet the city design standards for this area. Review criteria 3 discusses the transportation element within the comprehensive plan. The subdivision that's proposed, the layout accommodates connectivity and should not have a negative impact on the local transportation system. There is the proposed condition number 5 that kind of goes into a little more detail of kind of what's laid out. As you can see there, it's also within your report as well. All this, there's no issues that staff found within the transportation element. Looking at review criteria 4, we look at the soil and topographical conditions. This time there are no known issues or hazards being presented on the site for topography or anything hazardous on site. Looking at the 5th review criteria, we are looking at the zoning proposed uses. The proposed lots and layout, like I said, they comply with the R2 twin home bulk emplacement table standards for the R2 twin homes. And then review criteria 6 encompasses the community not bearing its more than its fair share of costs through impact fees on this development on each lot. The building permits being pulled, they will be providing impact fees for multimodal services, parks, public safety, streets, city water, and water reclamation facilities to offset that burden from the community. Looking at the agencies this was routed to for review, we can see the list here on the screen. And then of those agencies, 3 of them remaining neutral was Post Falls Police Department, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, as well as Post Falls Highway District. And then here's review criteria again, and I would entertain any questions for staff at this time.
I have a quick question. You mentioned on a parking area, is this like guest parking or what?
It's just extra parking for the, for the area, since I believe, and Rob can correct me if I'm wrong, on-street parking was limited on their proposed layout. They decided and designed just an extra parking area to help accommodate.
There would be on-site parking at the individual homes, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and then this is just.
correct,
like
and this is
extra.
just like
Okay.
overflow essentially, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
What's the current zoning?
R2. So they are within their R2 zoning right now.
So then between 10 and 11, that's the parking area.
Correct.
And then that is going to be part of the HOA. It'll be owned by the HOA. Is that
Owned and maintained.
by the HOA? And then what's then kind of across the street, well, on lot 5, what is that? What is the thing that's on there?
That's showing the existing home currently right there, so they kind of
Okay.
overlaid it a little bit, so.
Okay, so now they're gonna take, I noticed in the pictures, there was a house and then like another
Outbuilding.
shot.
Shed.
Okay, and they're gonna remove both of those prior to, okay. Okay, and so that must be what those 2 are. Okay, got it.
Basically, those structures that you see there are just gonna be demolished, so.
Okay, okay.
Other questions?
That's a private road, so will that be maintained by the city or the whatever HOA is established?
Yes, it is private for that one, so their HOA would maintain that as
Right.
far as like snow storage and such.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll bring up the applicant.
Gordon Dobler, Dobler Engineering. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm just going to use this. I had a 3-slide, but this, and I'll have to do some stuff with memory. We'll see how that goes. So yes, good questions. You asked about the hatched area. That's the existing building. So this is the additional parking. It's not required, but we wanted to do it for a couple of reasons. We will provide the required amount of off-site or off-street parking in each unit. We'll have shared driveways, and you can see I've grouped the water meters every other property line. The one that doesn't have water meters will have a shared driveway, and that's how we'll access the units on site. So we've minimized the impact to the on-street parking by using shared driveways. But even with that, we wanted to have some kind of an overflow parking. Also, I've used the overflow parking as the turnaround required by the fire district. And I've talked with Gerald, he's fine with that, it works for him. We would restrict parking on the south side and allow parking on the north side where the sidewalk is. That's why I put the sidewalk there. And it also helps the fire district use of that, the turnaround. So without cars parking next to it, it helps the radius turnaround. So fire district is okay. Snow storage, because the driveways will be over on this common property line, we'll have area for snow storage at the end of the street here. The swale for the street, stormwater will be in this area, in and around the parking area. If we come out to Elm, so I've showed Elm as being improved full width. Well, typically the city would require half width, but in this case, I think Commissioner, you had mentioned moving, we're gonna be removing this. Well, the owner of this property also owns the property over here, so we're coming forward with a minor sub to create another lot over here. This existing duplex mobile home will be moved over onto this side. And because we're gonna be doing a minor over there, which would require street frontage improvements, we're just gonna build all of Elm.
Okay.
So it actually works out pretty well, we think. So we have the guest parking, we have the turnaround solved, 28-foot wide street. We did put a sidewalk on one side for pedestrian access. The street will end right here. This is private property developed, so connectivity isn't really a possibility. We went over that with staff and agreed. Coming out to Elm Street, we have, the concern always is snow storage, so we have enough for a fire department turnaround right here, should they choose to use that for a turnaround. And again, snow storage off the end, stormwater treatment, normally along the swales there. We'll have a few driveways over here, which I haven't shown, but that's not gonna be a problem. Sewer ends right here, so we'll bring sewer in, extend it onto the property to the end there. Water ends right here. We will be required to upsize that main out to that next cross street, and I don't remember the name of it, but East Green Acres will require us to do that and then extend it through. Fire hydrants would be here, again, satisfy the fire department requirements. I think the only other thing that I wanted to bring up is, we'll be required to put street trees on Elm, and this is a private road, and it will be maintained by the HOA along with the parking area and the grass swale, and the frontage here along Elm. This will all be maintained by the HOA. With the private streets, my understanding that street trees are not required. Well, we will probably put street trees in anyway, in front of the homes and the utility easement. So if it was something that would be important to you, we would not object to even a condition to that end, to put street trees on the private street. We plan to do it anyway, and we think it's a nicer look. Really, the main reason for going with the private road wasn't really even the road standards. It was the required right-of-way width really reduced these lots to something that wasn't gonna work. So that's the main reason we went to the private road, that allowed us to use a little smaller right-of-way, but still the 28-foot street meets city standards, so. I think that's it.
So does that allow for on-street parking
Yes.
then? Okay, so.
On-street parking, one side.
One side,
Yes,
okay.
one
okay.
side, and that again was one of the reasons we provided, an additional parking here, wanting to offset that, even though we will meet the on-site requirements.
Okay.
2 spaces, we'll meet that with a garage and a space out in front.
Okay, okay.
So we're not trying to get around that at all. We just felt like with the reduced parking on street, parking one side, we wanted to be able to do that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Other questions? None? Thank you, sir. Public comment. Those in favor?
None.
Neutral?
None.
Opposed?
None.
No need for rebuttal or further comment. So, actually, we've got a little bit of a new process you guys are going to get to work with tonight when we go through this. So we'll jump into that in just a minute. Any questions for staff before we close things out? No?
No, none that I.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and close it. And one of the things we're going through now is a process. Field had spoke about it last time, but Field, do you want to speak on it again, just to
Sure. So,
reiterate?
Basically, we're breaking out each review criteria independently and going down and discussing each one as we go, instead of every commissioner just kind of giving a overview. So we're going to start with criteria 1. Everybody discuss. Then we'll move on to criteria 2. Everyone will discuss, and so on and so
Ethan,
forth.
can you go back to that last slide? If we could decorate that up a little bit more and maybe have sound effects when we get into this. But we'll go ahead and
Maybe
go to
some
the
of
next
Laura's
one.
pictures on there.
All right, we'll go ahead. So, in essence, what we're looking at is that provisions have been made for water supply system adequate to the terms and quality. Obviously, we discussed East Green Acres has agreed and is providing water. Any other further comment, concerns, thoughts regarding that?
I think staff covered that.
Yeah. Agreed.
No, I don't have any. I'm good with
Okay.
that.
Okay. Let's move on to number 2. Adequate provisions have been made for public sewer system that can exist in existing municipal system and can accommodate the proposed sewer flows. Commissioners, did we see anything that was of concern?
No?
I do not.
No.
Ross, anything?
Nope.
All right. Let's move on to number 3. Proposed streets are consistent with transportation element of the comprehensive plan. I think we covered most of that. Was there any other concerns? No? Nancy, you feel like,
I think that's good.
okay?
It would also be good to jump in, not necessarily concerns, but also just what you've heard as
comments
far
on
as.
What do you like about it?
So,
No, that's fine.
I think my only concern would be just the parking on the one side of the street, how that would be enforced. Because people could just unless there's going to be signs up saying no parking on this side of the street, which I assume, but, making an assumption there. But it does meet the standards of the 20-foot.
Depends on who the HOA president is, probably.
No, there's definitely truth to that.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to number 4. All areas of proposed subdivision, which may involve soil and topographic conditions, present hazards have been identified. I think staff covered that, but was there any other thoughts, comments, and/or additional items that we needed to discuss?
No.
The picture looked like it's just undeveloped land with the house already on it, and
Yeah.
it's going to be redeveloped.
Okay. Let's move on to number 5. The area proposed subdivision is zoned for the proposed uses, and the uses conform to the requirements found in this code.
It is.
Everybody comfortable there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to number 6. Basically, developer has made adequate plans to ensure the community will bear no more than its fair share of cost to the provision services by paying of fees, furnishing of land, etc. I think that's pretty much been laid out.
Yeah, they talked about the impact fees for the parks and how those will be split out. And
Anything else that we need to add? Thoughts or concerns? Ross, Nancy?
No, I don't see any.
Okay. Okay, I believe that was our last item. And obviously, in subdivision, we've seen this come in. And so when we get to this point, I don't know that we're going to have an immense amount of conversation, but I think with some of the other pieces that we hear, kind of breaking that down a little bit. I know last week, 2 weeks ago, when we had our meeting, there was some more detail that we went through. This is pretty much
Yeah.
set up and pretty simple. Anything else? Any other concerns? Thoughts? Positives?
I think townhomes, again, are a good product. They're kind of a product that we need more of. So I I think it fits there. Being at the end of the road especially, I think it fits, it works.
And my hope is with this type of product, it is a little bit less expensive, that maybe it's an entry-level house for people.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely need that, so.
Sub 500,000, I think, so
Yeah.
new product for the area.
Yes. Well, that being said, I would entertain a motion if someone has one that they want to put forth.
Let's see. I will move to approve the Elm Place Subdivision file number SUBD-0019-2021, finding that it meets the approval criteria in the Post Falls Municipal Code as outlined in our deliberations, subject to conditions 1 through 7 as contained in the staff report, and direct staff to prepare a written reasoned decision.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for vote.
Carrie,
Yes.
Schlauer,
Yes.
Hampi,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Stephenson,
Yes.
All right. Moving along, we'll go ahead and open River City Center subdivision. Mr. Porter, you're back.
It is me again, presenting the River City Center subdivision. Looking at the owner of this property, it's 41 and Mullen Investments, LLC, and the applicant who's here tonight is Olson Engineering. They are requesting approval to subdivide 14.4 acres within the Community Commercial Services, the CCS zone. They want to create 6 commercial lots. The property is located here, as you can see, hatched in red. It's just south of 12th Avenue, running east and west, north of Mullen, running east and west on the south side. And then on the west, you have Highway 41 running north and south. And then on the east side of the property, you have October Glory Street running north and south as well. And looking at the current land use, it's mostly vacant with the exception of the southern portion is developed into the shops and retail uses already. The water provider in this area is Ross Point Water District, and the sewer would be provided by the city of Post Falls. Looking at the zoning, you can see here the red is Community Commercial Services, that CCS zone along Highway 41. It's pretty typical, you see that for the commercial corridor. To the east of the proposal, you have the R1 single-family subdivision, and then it's surrounded by commercial elsewhere other than the north, which is Kootenai County jurisdiction. Kind of breaking out and showing what the proposal is. I tried to use some colors to kind of offset, and there's a lot going on. So the 2 larger pieces, the 2 in lots 2 and 6 are the yellow and the blue, and then the 4 smaller lots that are created are outlined in red, as you can see here. So commercial standards, they do meet the official bulk and placement table for commercial standards for the lot sizes and widths. So going into the review criteria then, we can see that the water, like I previously mentioned, it's Ross Point Water District, servicing this area. And then looking at the sewer for review criteria 2, the city does have adequate capacity, and then there also will be surcharges for the 12th Avenue lift station to offset future costs of force mains from the lift station to the water reclamation facility. So upon development, they will have surcharges tacked onto those as well to help that system out. Review criteria 3, discuss the transportation portion. The subdivision, like I mentioned, is along Highway 41, 12th Avenue, and October Glory Street. There was mention in the staff report for private shared access need to be provided for the 2 larger lots to help with circulation and traffic flow, which upon development, they will be able to meet that as well. 12th Avenue is classified as a minor collector, and the intersection of 12th and Highway 41 is being converted into a 3/4 turn restriction. October Glory Street, which is to the east of the site, is classified as a local residential roadway, and that will require further installation of sidewalk and roadway illumination through the subdivision and future development as well. And then State Highway 41 is projected for that frontage along the west side of the proposal is projected to be built out by between 2023 and 2026. Engineering may have a little more to say on that if you have questions for them as well. But as far as the transportation element, there were no issues other than what was stated in the staff report for this site in the subdivision. Looking at review criteria 4 for the topographical hazards or conditions that are on site, there were none known or identified at this point in time, which city has a public staff report, so nothing of hazard has been identified. And then review criteria 5, we look at the proposed uses and the uses that conform to other requirements found in the code. This proposal is, like I mentioned, commercial along Highway 41, which is a commercial corridor, so it does meet city requirement for zoning, and upon development will meet city standards for commercial development. And then review criteria 6 is the ensuring that the community will not bear more than its fair share of costs to providing services, and once again through impact fees, including that surcharge as well for the 12th Avenue lift station, they'll be provided for at time of building permit. When they pull the building permit, they'll provide impact fees to multimodal services, parks, public safety, streets, city water, and water reclamation facilities. Agencies that were routed to are listed here. Of these agencies, we have 3 neutral comments back from Post Falls Police Department, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, as well as Post Falls Highway District. Sorry for the repetitiveness, but that is all staff has for you, unless you have any further questions for myself or anything else.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
On the street behind it, the October Glory Street.
Correct.
Does it have sidewalks on one side now? Or
I
you said they
bel-
would have to finish up, what will they be, what will they be required to do?
Rob, do you want to take this one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Might
Yeah.
be easier just for
Okay.
Rob. You're good.
Madam Commissioner, Robert Paulus, Assistant City Engineer. There is an existing sidewalk along the east side of October Glory from Mullen Avenue up to 12th Avenue, and a substantial portion of the sidewalk is in place on the west side as well. There's just a small gap that is missing in this area and here in the area in blue that needs to be completed.
Okay. And then one other question. Is there any buffer required between the backup of this, the CCS properties, and butting up to R1?
Not at this point, just because there's a street already there, so the buffer requirement, I mean, the street basically acts as the buffer already, so.
Thank you.
Yep,
What's your condition 9 here?
condition 9. One second, please.
Okay.
Unless you want to read it to me.
Ross, do you have it
I
pulled
can
up?
read it if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
So condition 9 is, with final plating, it is recommended that city council relinquishes the existing lift station easement, 75-foot by 75-foot lift station easement, shown on the plat of Crimson King Estates, Book J, page 377, Kootenai County Records, instrument number, as long as the city has relocated the lift station with a new easement and the existing referenced easement is no longer needed or anticipated to be needed for its intended original purpose.
So Commissioners, previously, in this general area here, we had our 12th Avenue lift station. Within the past year, we moved that lift station down to this corner here. The city still maintains an easement where that original lift station was. For expediency, we can vacate that easement as part of the plat, and that's the direction we would like to go, and just to incorporate that where we provide, or the city water reclamation department would provide a letter as part of the public hearing with the subdivision that we have no interest or use of that property anymore, and that it should be vacated with the subdivision.
Perfect. Ross, that cover it?
Does, yeah.
Okay.
My other question, though, I'm not sure which one of you knows, but can you explain the surcharge for the lift station, future force main?
So this property itself is not conditioned on paying the surcharge for the, most of the property actually would flow out to Highway 41 and then to the south. We are collecting a surcharge on properties that, as they annex into the city, we are putting a requirement on them that any development of that property pay a surcharge. And what that surcharge is we took a portion of the cost of taking the force main from the lift station and running it all the ways to the treatment plant, dividing it out by the capacity of that line, and that's how much we charge. So ideally, if we did our calculations correctly, when we reach certain threshold flow rates that we've identified, we'll have enough money built up that we can build that several miles of force main.
So that would be only newly annexed properties, not ones that are currently.
Newly annexed properties or ones that, due to agreements that existed previously, we were already having them paying a surcharge.
Okay.
When is it paid?
What was the?
When is the surcharge paid and how?
People pay their surcharge at the time of building permit issuance. That way we can identify how much, especially when it comes to commercial properties, we don't know what type of business is going to be in there, and you can have a broad range of office building which is going to have very little water usage. Fast food restaurant could be the equivalent of 5 to 8 homes. So until we know what's going in there, we don't want to charge a surcharge.
Makes sense. Okay. Other questions?
Well, I'm just a little, and I think maybe, I don't know who wants to answer this, but, so it's going to be subdivided into 6 lots, and I see 3 red ones. Oh, I mean, 4 red ones, I'm sorry, 4 red ones, and so then the yellow and blue are each a lot.
Correct.
Correct.
So that's how you get your 6.
So the yellow is already developed.
Yes.
The blue is undeveloped, and that is just going to be one parcel, and that'll just, are the little legs that stick out to Highway 41, or is that just simply for ingress, egress to that rest of that property, or what's the point of that?
So the legs,
Yeah, those
this
legs,
yellow leg here is an existing access point.
right,
This one here is an existing
Okay,
access
yeah.
point. This one here does not have an access point. My own opinion is that it probably would not be allowed to have an access point because it's
Okay.
going out onto State Highway 41.
right.
If the owners of that property wanted to try to acquire one, they would have to go through the Idaho Transportation Department to get that approval.
But, and it's not a parcel, it's all part of the blue parcel. So is it, I mean, can it be used? Do you have any idea what the idea is behind not making that? Could they try and stick another parcel in there is what I'm wondering, I guess.
What I would recommend on that one is to have the applicant answer that question as to how they
Okay.
see that being
Okay.
developed and utilized as part of the larger project.
Yes, I will do that then, thank you.
They'll cover it. If we need to, we'll bring them back. Okay. Any other questions for staff? Nope. Seeing none? All right. Thank you both. We'll invite the applicant to come up.
Good evening. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you. My name is Daniel Brands. I'm with Olson Engineering. And to answer your question, that part would just be for extra parking. We wouldn't be asking for another access. And if we did, like Rob said, if we decided we wanted to try to go that route, we'd have to do that through ITD.
Okay.
So I guess just to repeat a few things, this project is already zoned commercial. We're proposing it as commercial. The general gist is there's 3 existing lots that are being turned into 6 total, And just to make it easier for the developer to lease out or to sell commercial pad sites. I mean, other than that, it's just pretty straightforward. It's already a commercial center, so it's not like we're proposing to do anything that's different than or unexpected. So,
Okay.
any questions?
Pretty cut and dry. Any questions for the applicant?
Is there gonna be any access to, what is that, 12th Street off of Lot 5?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Other questions? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Public comment, in favor, neutral, and or against?
None.
Okay, seeing none, no need for further conversation unless we have questions. Any questions, anything we need to cover before we shut this down and run through our pieces?
No, I don't think so.
No? Feel pretty clear about it? Okay, we'll go ahead and shut it down. And open up the reasoned decision discussion. That's when the music would come on. Number one, water. Any thoughts,
Okay,
questions?
no. Those points were all covered in.
Said Ross Point
Ross Point.
has a available capacity.
Yeah, thanks, James. Again, it's, describe what you heard as far as water. So, Ross Point, so thank you.
Ross Point Water.
Ross Point Water.
They're going to service.
There we go.
Got the green light.
Okay. Number two, adequate provisions made for public sewer system. This one obviously had a little bit more detail. What did you guys hear? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the lift station was already moved, but there's still the easement there, which through the plating can be, I want to say corrected, but it sounds like it's just, we'll correct all the books at that time, kind of.
Ross, I know you'd asked the question, but the idea of what the surcharge, how that looks when it is enacted, everything else, you good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Anything else there? Let's move on to number three. Proposed streets are consistent with transportation element of the comprehensive plan. So we've got three varying streets here. What's everyone's thoughts?
Well, I'm glad to hear that it would be difficult to go out onto Highway 41 from there as a direct access. And that we do have side access off of 12.
And so,
And the existing access coming in off of Mullen also.
I don't know, Vicki, you had asked a question about the buffering, but with, what is that, October Glory or the existing street?
Over glory.
Yeah,
Felt like that
was
got
the-
taken care of?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other concerns with 41 or 12?
No, I think this is commercial and 41's being built out, and so by the time this gets developed, 41 will hopefully be completed and make it even easier to get in and out of that area over there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's the hope, is that it's done, and it's certainly a little messy right now, but hopefully as that's built out, it will, and that's finished, it'll flow easier, so.
Nancy, is that your way of saying winter's over and so now the progress is really going to get
Yeah,
going?
exactly. So
Okay.
hopefully.
We have that on record. No, I think that's always, that was always our concern with a lot of the things that we've seen as of recently with 41 is timing is absolutely crucial. So hopefully we can continue to move.
And
well
what we've
forward.
heard from other developers that are developing up and down that corridor is like, yeah, I know 41, I'm not trying to build it now and then not have any access.
Right.
So they're
Yeah,
trying to time it
yeah.
with 41, because that just makes sense, honestly.
Okay. Let's move on to number 4. Soil and topo, all the areas of proposed subdivision, which may involve soil and topographical conditions, hazards. Thoughts? Did anyone see anything?
I don't have any concern with that.
Either in that.
No?
No.
Ross, good. Okay. Let's move to number 5. Areas of proposed subdivision is zoned in the proposed use or the purpose use, and the uses conform to other requirements found in this code.
I was right along 41, CCS. I think that's a perfect area for it. It's already next to developed land, and it looks like once it gets developed, it'll kind of mirror. They'll both kind of look about the same, probably.
complies with the bulk and placement table. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Let's bring it home and go to number 6.
Okay.
Adequate plans to ensure the community will bear no more than their fair share of the costs. Anything else to discuss? I know that there's some additional in regards to the lift station surcharge, but everybody feel like it was covered?
Yeah, they talked about, they'll collect the impact fees, and those impact fees will go to the improvements of those streets and the frontage in that area.
Okay. Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, if we've covered the information and we feel like we've come to a position that we can reach a conclusion, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, I will, I move to approve, let me look at this. River City Center Subdivision SUBD 0020-2021, finding that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and adopting the findings, conclusions, and conditions 1 through 9 contained in the staff report with the zoning, well, that was, I don't need that one.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
If not, call for vote.
Hamby,
Yes.
Schlauer,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes,
Stephenson.
Yes.
All right. Administrative and staff reports.
None.
Commission comments. The one thing I would say, obviously, Ross, Nancy, with you guys just coming on and kind of going through this, I think some of the things that we'll see, there'll be a significant amount of conversation when we start talking about, okay, well, yeah, there was some concerns about the soil of what was existing there, so on and so forth. But I think this is just a process one more time to kind of walk through everything to make sure everybody feels comfortable. So.
Well, I sure hope it gets to be more fun, because this new format's not much fun.
Well, you know what,
I
Ross?
think we should change it, and all comments have to be subjective from now on.
We'll create a fun avenue in some capacity,
or bring peanut brittle.
or bring a middle. Yeah, there you go. All right, commissioners, anything else to add? Anything for the good of the order?
Do we have a meeting February 8th, right? Okay. I thought, I've got it on my calendar, but I wasn't quite sure. Double checking.
There's 2 scheduled, right, in February?
Yes. Yep.
2 scheduled in February, 2 scheduled in March.
One scheduled.
One
in March.
scheduled in
One
March.
scheduled in March, okay.
I don't want to
The
overcommit.
first March meeting will not be held because there are no agenda items.
Okay, that's, I was, yeah.
Are we still looking at the 23rd and 30th in March, or that's?
It was the 23rd, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that other one,
I was giving you guys 2 different options
gotcha, okay.
to see which one would work best for everybody. So, and it looks like the 23rd.
Can I ask,
Cool.
at some point, maybe this week or next week, can we get one more email out to everyone?
I was going to do that, yeah.
Perfect. Just, double, triple remind us. Okay.
Is the second meeting in March a guarantee at this point?
It is not.
So we're waiting, we have potential applications coming in, and so we're tentatively reserving that date as we have some that may come in. They may not, so March is still a little bit up in the air.
Subject to workload.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Commissioners, staff, if there's nothing else, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.